Hello, everyone. Welcome to Communication Makeover, where we believe that intentional communication will lead to the breakthrough that you're looking for, both in your business and in your life. My name is Todd Wall, and this is a very important episode for me because this is Confessions of an Introvert. This idea of networking is extremely did I say extremely stressful? It is something that we all deal with. Even if you are an extrovert, there's still anxiety of taking the time out to go do these types of things. But for introverts especially, we identify with that strategy of duck and cover. There are events that we know we have to go to far too often. We go to those events, we experience the pain of going there, but we don't get out of our shell enough to actually accomplish something. We were there, but we didn't actually make the impact or the splash that we wanted to get to. And it comes down to the intentional approach that we were taking. And so I love the specific aspects that have been coming out of this coaching session with Deirdre and Michelle. And so let's jump right in now to the last portion of the coaching session and see. Let's listen to how she wraps things up. Here she goes.
Have you ever done media pitching as a part of your career?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, did you like it?
No, I hated it.
No.
I hated it so much.
Exactly.
It was just
Most professionals don't like it.
Yeah.
But as you keep doing it and as you practice, it gets a little easier. And then you get slightly more confidence and you move on. Can you see how the pitching is similar to going to the networking event and talking to people? And even though technically maybe you do have a pitch, it takes time and it takes practice.
Absolutely. One of the things I do in my free time is give tours with the Chicago Architectural Center. So it's groups of 15 people. We walk around town for 90 minutes or 2 hours. And what I learned very quickly doing that is if you don't do a tour with every 4 to 6 weeks, it's really hard to remember all of the stuff you had to learn to kind of check off those boxes. But if you keep at it, if you do it with a little more frequency, you can really enjoy the time you have with the folks who come out, and you're not sweating bullets being like, what year was this built? What style is this? Who was the architect?
Exactly.
You can have a lot of fun with it. So it kind of reminds me of that, right? It's just you have to be sort of in that groove and practicing it with enough frequency that it feels like second nature, even if it's not what you're doing every day.
Well, I've seen some moments. I've seen some expressions on your face. Michelle, talk to me about what you think your next networking session could be like based on what we've discussed today.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely going to come in with some different questions, right? For those, I feel like getting out the door, getting into the networking event, picking off some people, who are not just in their own group, but starting to talk to them. I'm thinking about some better questions about what they want to get out of the event, what they're working on that's exciting to them, how they spent their weekend, and not just what do you do, right? What brings you here? And really kind of activating that listening muscle. And I really like the idea of setting a goal, whether it's 2 people or 3 people in the beginning. And then I feel like that gives me a very manageable way to kind of track my progress. So maybe in a year from now, 8 people will be no problem, right? 8 people in a 1-hour networking event will just be second nature. But yeah, I think it makes me feel a lot more comfortable. I think to me, it's always been this very wide net, oh, you got to network, you got to do the networking thing, you have to go to the events, you have to go to the conferences. And as we're talking, I'm realizing well, they're not all created equal, right? And kind of finding the events that are a little more geared toward where I'm comfortable can help me kind of get comfortable and in that networking groove. And then, we can go from there.
That's right. Learn and grow, practice, and it becomes easier. It
Yeah.
seems to me, Michelle, that the networking experience will be different for you moving
I
forward.
feel it. I feel it in my shoulders and my bones.
Good. Well, it shows. Anything else that I can help you with on that note, or you feel
I
comfortable?
don't think so. This has been a wonderful conversation. And like I said, even though I'm usually in the coaching seat, right, helping people kind of get to what they already know, I'm always amazed sitting on this side of it, how much you can accomplish in such a short amount of time. I feel completely different after talking to you.
Well, thank you. And thank you for sharing openly. And you'll have to report back on your next
I
networking
definitely
session.
will. I definitely will. And thank you for the opportunity. This has been wonderful.
Deirdre, the first thing I want to point out is the metamorphosis that took place. And really, I want to highlight the difference between coaching versus consulting. You did highlight, you did offer some nuggets of wisdom there, but for the most part, this transfer of creating a thinking environment where you toss the ball back to her, you could see her digging out her solutions. And the result of it is what we saw at the end there, where she was open, bubbly, and excited. It wasn't someone who had been talked to or talked down to. Not that all consultants talk down to people, but it's more of a one-way conversation in most situations.
Right. It was asking the right questions and sometimes taking Michelle out of her head and getting her to be in a different situation. It's almost, if something happens here, then it could bring it back into your networking. When I talked about the media pitching and how nobody likes pitching the media, but once you get good at it and you practice, it feels okay. You get confident. Same thing with the networking. There was a lot of ways that I just brought her out to get her back in and to think differently.
Yeah, absolutely. And the practical nature, her going from the beginning of duck and cover, it wasn't, that is a strategy. It just doesn't get the outcome she's looking for, because as a perfectionist, she really connected with, well, what's the outcome I'm looking? What's the goal? She
Exactly.
really connected with that as a specific driver going forward, didn't she?
Yes, and she couldn't get to goal unless you do some legwork. You have to look at these networking events, research them, find what you're looking for, identify, and then you can formulate, well, if I know it's this kind of networking event, these kinds of speakers,
Hmm.
this different industry professionals, then I know what I want to do. So that little plan of action helped.
It does, because that even speaks to like we talk about controlling your speaking environment of on stage. Do you like a handheld mic? Do you like a lavalier mic? Do you controlling the environment you're in gives you that emotional freedom to step into it, and her you helping her recognize she has control of which ones she goes to and which
Yes.
types she's comfortable in, because you don't use a screwdriver when a hammer is needed. There's a specific tool for a specific job.
Exactly. And she has a choice. The
Mm.
even the word choice made her happy, knowing that she didn't have to always say yes. And if she was going to say yes, it would be an emphatic yes. And that was a sense of ease. Did you also notice the shift, Todd? I loved when I saw a shift about the friends. She
Mm.
first talked about networking, where you go with your friends, and then you just kind of end up sticking together. But then at the end, it became a game where you
It
can
did.
start together and then let's go get meet three new people. And at the end, she said, and I think I can get eight.
Yeah, she said when she was talking about the friends at the beginning, it was like your joke with the coat closet. It
Yeah,
was really a tool to hide behind the extrovert. How many
exactly.
times does the introvert play the game hide behind the extrovert?
All the time. Yes. That's a familiar game.
It is, but you created it, you gamified it in a way that just made it incremental change. It wasn't She wasn't then looking for a huge outcome. It was, oh, what if I just connect with three people? And it felt
Right.
manageable. It felt like I'm not trying to swallow the entire pie all in one bite. I can take it one bite at a time.
And manageable gets rid of the overwhelm,
It does.
because knowing that we can manage, that's going to ease the nerves. And I think Michelle's looking at her networking opportunities. Now it's an opportunity where before it was a networking duck and cover.
Yeah, and when at the very end, when she brought in the tours that she gives, she, again, because you created a thinking environment, she was continuing to self-coach. She brought another environment in where she goes, oh, and that reminds me, I need repetition. I can't let too far go on, or I'm going to forget the tool. So the more often I do it, the easier it is. You didn't ask her that question. That was the beauty of coaching. You created the environment, and the environment started fixing itself.
Yes, I love that she had takeaways and that she was going to put them to good use, and that she came to discovery on her own. And that's the best possible scenario. Not just the words that she was sharing and her next steps, but you could see it written all over her face.
You know, Deirdre, both you and I are recovering introverts, and but what you're saying is it's possible to go and network like a powerhouse.
Absolutely. You can do anything. If there's a will, there is a way.
Absolutely. All right. That's it for this week. It was a powerful, powerful show where there is a will, there is a way. And even as an introvert, you can be a powerhouse if you're intentional, you are courageous, and you step into the person that you want to be. We'll see you next week.